FBI's most wanted $1.2 billion Medicare fraudster, Herb Kimble, captured in Manila casino after 2-year manhunt in the Philippines. Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. This channel is an organic amalgamation for searching, seeking, and finding the truth in this chaotic, confusing, and disruptive world we live in. We are the soldiers of Mount Zion. So the FBI caught a whale or a whopper. The term whale is used in casinos. I've been to Las Vegas probably 30 times over the years. And guys are people that spend millions of dollars gambling. The casinos call them whales or whoppers. And I have a whale or a whopper of a story for you. When the FBI is going after these healthcare fraudsters like crazy, this healthcare fraudster takedown of 2026. And I think they got the biggest one to date. And unfortunately, he's from my beloved city of Chicago, Illinois. So let's get into the story. Herb Leon Kimble, born in Chicago on May 12th, 1966, is the American businessman behind one of the largest telemedicine-linked Medicare fraud schemes on record. So telemedicine, you know, that's where you can dial in, use your phone. You don't have to go to a physical medical office, see a physical medical doctor. You can use your phone and or your computer, and you can talk to a doctor via the computer, and it's called telemedicine. They can give you a diagnosis, ask you about your symptoms, and then write you a prescription for whatever you need. So you don't even have to get in your car and go to an office. This is telemedicine. It's a new thing in the healthcare field. So, and it's definitely beneficial for elderly people who can't drive or don't have a ride, that sort of thing. It's a convenience kind of thing. But some people have gotten greedy and stuck their hands in the cookie jar and have gotten caught. And you always think in Medicare and Medicaid fraud that it would be doctors and hospitals, administrators that would be committing these types of frauds historically. But there are all kinds of companies, these DNA companies, these telemedicine companies that are billing Medicare and at an exuberant rate for things they didn't do. So from 2011 to 2019, Mr. Kimble ran call center operations based in the Philippines that served as the marketing engine for a Medicare fraud scheme, luring victims through TV and online ads. Callers were screened for Medicare eligibility, then convinced to accept orthotic braces. The call center referred victims to a telemedicine company that issued prescriptions without regard to actual medical need. And medical equipment companies billed Medicare for the braces under an arrangement with the call center. Total estimate of the damage and the fraud was $1.2 billion that Mr. Herbert Leon Kimble orchestrated. So what is the legal timeline? Kimble pleaded guilty in 2019. He later skipped a scheduled 2024 sentencing hearing and became a fugitive. How is it that these guys, there should be some kind of law where if you abscond or fraudulently steal, let's say $100 million or more, there should be a no bond hearing, almost like a murder case. Because if you have somebody that has, as I say, absconded hundreds of millions of dollars, you know they got 5 or 10 million stashed away somewhere. And so you arrest them, you give them a bond hearing, and you give them a bond. You know they're going to take off. And this guy was based in the Philippines. I don't understand our U.S. court system where they keep giving bonds to these people that have these multi-million, even $billion fraud schemes, and they think they're going to come back to court. Evidently, their character is not in good nature. Because they've been stealing from the government for years. And you think that once they get their hand caught in the cookie jar, they get their hand slapped, that they're going to come back 30 days later, 60 days later, 6 months later, and say, okay, judge, give me my 20 years in prison for wire fraud, conspiracy, money laundering. No, they're going to try to leave. So he later skipped a scheduled 2024 sentencing hearing and became a fugitive like they all do. Remember, he was based out of the Philippines anyway. He was international anyway. On June 4th, 2026, the FBI announced its new most wanted fraudsters list, with Kimble named as a fugitive in the $1.2 billion telemedicine fraud scheme. Just 4 days later, after he was put on that most wanted list, on June 8th, he was apprehended in the Philippines at a casino in Manila. On June 16th, he was indicted in the District of South Carolina on 3 counts of failure to appear at court hearings. So he leaves, didn't appear at his court hearing, goes back to the Philippines, and then they had to extradite him. The FBI had to go get him and then bring him back to South Carolina. He should have stayed in jail the entire time until his court case came about. So his case was folded into the DOJ's broader 2026 National Healthcare Fraud Takedown, which charged over 455 defendants over more than $6.5 billion in alleged fraud nationwide. And remember, out of the $6.5 billion in these 455 defendants, this one guy from Chicago, Herbert Leon Kimble, he got away with $1.2 billion of fraudulent billings from Medicare. So almost 1/5 of the $6.5 billion that the U.S. government is trying to recover, he absconded and put in his pocket. So his case became a symbol of how telemedicine, so for all the older people, that's 65 and over, Medicare, there's a lot of Medicare fraud. There's all these advertisements on what Medicare, ABC, your supplemental, what should you get? These people are calling and coming after you like crazy. So you got to keep your wits about yourself and keep your head on a swivel and utilize the 5 senses that God gave you with your common sense. Have a PhD in common sense. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And do not give your Medicare number, which is like a Social Security number to you, to these telemarketers over the phone. So his case has become a symbol of how telemedicine's legitimate infrastructure, remote prescriptions, call center marketing, equipment billing, could be exploited when a doctor's signature, just a doctor's signature, became, in effect, a billing weapon rather than a genuine medical judgment. 1.2 billion he got away with, and now he is locked up and probably is looking at spending the rest of his life in prison. The FBI is busy. They're coming after these fraudsters and these Ponzi schemes and these fraud schemes, so be on alert. Tell me what you think of this story. The FBI caught a whale, 1.2 billion telemedicine fraud scheme. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-conscious way.